Mara starts, can you do two things? One is, please keep your cell phones on a silent mode or on airplane mode. That's the one thing. And second thing is that please come forward as much as possible. Come forward because as the night falls, more people will start coming. Please come. Thank you. Please come forward so that we don't have to tell you again and again. Thank you. There's a lot of space. Please come.
Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prasayine Nirvishesha Shunyavani Bhakti Sakayine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is technology loca here. There's a camera here, there's a camera there, there's a this and there's a that. Boston. A little sharing. Once upon a time, I was a college kid. And the temple that I moved into was in Alston Street in Boston. The first temple. Some years passed. Well, a few months passed, the summer passed, and Prabhupada wanted a printing press because once upon a time it wasn't BBT, it was ISKCON Press. And ISKCON Press all stayed in that single home, large home in Alston Street. So it was like, ISKCON Press plus Hare Krishna Temple. And then sometime I don't know what's going to happen next. Yeah. Prabhupada wanted a press. He was a very ardent, meticulous follower of Bhaktisiddhanta. Bhaktisiddhanta had printing presses. So Prabhupada wanted a printing press. And they tried this and tried that, and there was somebody in New York that knew how to run a printing press because he had done that before he became a devotee. His name was Gadadhar Prabhu. So Gadadhar Prabhu came to Boston, I was straight to New York. That's how things worked at that time. So I was in New York for a long time. I grew up as a Hare Krishna movement in New York. And then something happened and I became a regional secretary and I was sent back to New England. So I stayed in this temple for a number of years as regional secretary. Niranjan Maharaj was the president, and I was the regional secretary, and we did stuff together, and expanded the Hare Krishna movement here in New England, because there was New England regional secretary, not just Boston. So I'm quite familiar with this temple, and some things don't change. Some things change, but some things don't change. It's nice to be with you all. And the topic I wanted to speak about, to tie it in, of course, we recently celebrated, just this past Sunday, we celebrated Ram Navami, and one of the main personalities in Ramayana is Vibhishan and Vibhishan's surrender. So that's our topic. Because it certainly connects with the principal teaching of the entire Bhagavad Gita. Somebody raised their hand, don't blurt it out, and I'll call on some people. What's the main concluding verse of the entire Bhagavad Gita? I see one hand, I see two hands, I see a few hands, now I see more hands. This brahmachari over here with a nice... You recognize that verse? Let's say it together. Sarva dharmam parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayisami ma sujata. It's a nice verse to know. It's the conclusion and the essence of the entire Bhagavad Gita, and that's our topic this evening. The verse says, abandon all varieties of dharma and subordinate them to one principle. The one principle, mam ekam sharanam. Sharanam means surrender. So Vibhishan was the Arjuna, you could say, of Ramayana. And we're going to hear a little bit about the story of Vibhishan, but so along with the story, there's the storyline, and then there's the principles of dharma that you learn from the story, and then there's understandings of tattva, and then ultimately there's rasa. This is embedded within any scripture, especially Ramayana. It's very, very wonderful literature. So here we go. Vibhishan's surrender and Ramachandra's acceptance of his surrender. So here's, can you see the screen okay? They're in the back. Are the letters big enough that you can see them? Kind of? Okay. At the very top, that's Lord Brahma, the firstborn living being. Pulasya was one of the direct sons, directly from the body of Lord Brahma, Pulasya Rishi. And his son was Vishravas. So there's three generations, Brahma, Pulasya, Vishravas. Vishravas had a Brahmana wife. Her name was Idvida, the daughter of Bharadraj Muni. Bharadraj Muni was a follower and a disciple of Valmiki. And she had a son who later became known as Kuvera, the treasure of heaven. He was posted in that position. However, there was a second wife. The second wife was the daughter of a Rakshasa. We're going out to the Ramayana story. And Sumali was the girl's father's name. Sumali pulled on his chin and said, you know what? If my daughter married Vishravas, then the combination of Vishravas and my daughter would produce a very, very powerful son. Because Vishravas was way up there in his qualification. So once he got that idea, he conveyed the idea to his daughter, Kaikashi, and Kaikashi came to the ashram of Vishravas while he was doing a yajna. And she didn't say anything. The way the Ramayana describes, she's scratching the ground with her toenail, like, she's kind of nervous about the whole situation, introducing herself and saying, let's get married. But Vishravas was in the middle of a yajna, and one of the things that Brahmanas are not supposed to do, just like when devotees are chanting Gayatri, you don't interrupt Gayatri, you complete Gayatri, and then you can do something. So in the middle of his yajna, here comes this girl that wants to marry him, and he's omniscient. He knew what she came for. So he didn't stop. He completed the yajna, but then he spoke to her. You came at a very inauspicious time. I know why you've come, because you've come in this way. The answer is yes, but because you came at an inauspicious time, the sons that will be born of you will be demons. No. And she said, yes. But because you're appealing in this way, one of your sons will be very virtuous, like his father. So that son that was virtuous was Vibhishana. So even before he was conceived, it was known he would be a very virtuous person. And that's how he lived his life. That's a little of the genealogy of Vishravas. And we'll see a little bit about the other two family members, the other three family members. We're familiar with this term. There's 9 processes of devotional service. Atma-nivedana is number 9. You surrender everything. And that's Vibhishana. He gave up everything and took shelter of Lord Ramachandra. Atma-nivedana. Abandoning Lanka, friends and possessions, I place my kingdom, my life, my happiness at your disposal. Those were his words to Ram when they first met. That he had already done all those things, but now I'm yours. You can do with me as you like. Now, some of you have been around a while. Some of you are newer. Some of you in between. For those of you that have been around for a while, you probably know that Ramayana is a very celebrated literature in the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. They've got lots of commentaries on Ramayana. And the most elevated, respected, and senior-most member, his name is Govinda Raja. Govinda Raja. And he wrote elaborate commentary on Ramayana. And one of the topics that he covers is there's 18 cardinal lessons. 18 cardinal lessons in the whole of Ramayana. And this is one of them. Vibhishana exemplifies one of the 18. Dependency on the devotees of the Supreme Lord is exemplified by Vibhishana. So we're going to be speaking about Vibhishana, so you can pay attention, be very attentive to his feelings of dependency upon Lord Ramachandra and how he conducted himself. There's looking around the room. Some of you have been around for a while. You know about the deity in Sri Rangam. Anybody here that not know about Sri Rangam? Okay. Thank you. Sri Rangam is in South India, and there's huge, one of the largest deities in the world, a deity of the personality of Godhead, Narayana, reclining on the causal ocean, and Ranganath. Ranga means waves. Nath means the Lord of the waves. He's on the sea. That's it, the bottom of the universe. That's Ranganath. The deity is like, I don't know how many feet, 15 feet long. He's reclining deity. We'll see a photograph of him. So this deity, the deity of Ranganath, originally, it was given to Vibhishana, eventually. But originally, in the very early stages of creation, it originally appeared to Lord Brahma in the very beginning of Brahma's day. And then Brahma gave the deity to the sun god Vivaswan. Vivaswan gave it to his son Manu. Manu gave it to his son Ikshvaku. And that deity was brought to earth from the sun planet and worshipped from the time of Ikshvaku. Those of you that know Bhagavad Gita, you heard chapter 4, Bhagavad Gita, Ikshvaku's name. In the beginning I taught the sun god Vivaswan to Manu, Manu to Ikshvaku. This way the knowledge was passed on through disciplic succession. So Ikshvaku came from the sun planet to the earth planet to rule and establish the dynasty of the sun kings, or the Surya dynasty. And with him, he brought this deity of Ranganath. And it was worshipped over the years and years and years, generations and generations. And Ramchandra's father, Dasarath, worshipped this deity. And then the deity was gifted, because when Dasarath died, the deity went to the eldest son, and Ramachandra had responsibility for the deity. After the big battle and Ravana was killed and all of that, Ramchandra came back. He became installed as the king of Ayodhya, and with him came Vibhishan. So to reciprocate with the service that Vibhishan had done, Ramchandra gave him the deity. Huge deity, 12-foot deity. You'll see the picture. And Vibhishan was, thank you very much. How did he take the deity all the way back to Sri Lanka? He took the deity on this Pushpaka Vimana, it's a flower airplane that didn't have a steering wheel. It moved by mental power, the subtle machine. And by will, by the mind of the person operating the Vimana, Vimana means airplane, it traveled. As he was traveling, the Vimana descended in Srirangam. And the deity then informed Vibhishan, I want to stay here and be worshipped here, but I'll face in the southerly direction. Deities don't face in the southerly direction. It's a detail. But deities don't face in the southerly direction. I'll be facing the southerly direction, so I'll be overseeing you, and I'll protect you, and everything will be all right. So to this day, here's the deity of Srirangam, or Shranganath in Srirangam. You can see the deity behind. In the front is the festival deity, the Utsav Murti, with the goddess on one side, Shri and Bull, and on one side, the other side, and then the festival deity in the center. And here's a close-up of the deity of Ranganath. So Ranganath was given as a gift to Vibhishan. Now, there's prayers. Because of time, I'm not going to go into it so much, but in the Sri Vaishnava tradition, there are 108 special prayers called Divya Desham, 108 of them. Number one is about Sri Ranganath, and here's one of those prayers. After removing the hurdles for Vibhishan, Ranganath gave the kingdom to him at Sri Lanka. And lying at Sri Rangam, he is looking at the way in which Vibhishan is ably ruling Lanka. This is similar to how a mother who is nursing her infant looks at the infant's cheerful face. Just appreciation of the deity and the deity's relationship with Vibhishan. Or King Kulashekar. Those of you who have been around the Hare Krishna movement for a while, you know King Kulashekar. Prabhupada liked his prayers very much. He sang them. Prayers of King Kulashekar. Lying down, looking at the southern direction with affection, Sri Ranganath looks at the southern direction, which is the dwelling place of Vibhishan. Now these are celebrated songs from their principal acharyas prior to Ramanujacharya, that he drew his teachings from these alvars. One more. Sri Ranganath has special affection towards Vibhishan, who was blessed by realized wisdom. When Sugriva threatened to walk out with his army of monkeys should Lord Ram accept Vibhishan, Sri Ram said, even if I have to forgo you and your army, I will not let down Vibhishan. This is similar to a cow. In order to protect his calf, her calf, that it gave birth to that day, pushes aside the calf which is older, with its horns and hooves. When that Sugriva did something which could have resulted in harm to him, Sri Ram said, "O Sugriva, with long arms, if something shameful had befallen you, what benefit would I get through Sita or Bharata or Lakshman or Shatrughna? O warrior who kills the enemies, what benefit would I get out of my own body?" Such was Ram's affection towards Sugriva, but his affection for Vibhishan was greater than that which he had towards Sugriva, and hence he is lying in Srirangam, looking in the direction of Vibhishan. Now, what I just read is these are very important persons in the Sri Sampradaya. The prior acharyas that didn't systematize the writings, but they wrote nice glorifications of the deity of Ranganath and the relationship of Ranganath and Vibhishan, who is our topic for today. In the painting, you see at the very top, there's Kaikashi. She's come to the ashram of Vishravas, and you see directly in front of me, she's performing a yajna, and her presence is interrupting his yajna. And so Vishravas accepted her as a wife, but said what I said he said. You're going to have sons that are demons. And down below, there are the sons. From right to left, there's Vishravas, and then directly in front of him is his wife, and then behind his wife, the 10-headed, 20-armed Ravana. See in the picture? It's kind of small, but you can see it. Then behind him, really big guy, Kumbhakarna. And behind Kumbhakarna is the sister, Shurpanakha. And then in her lap is the youngest. See? In her lap? That's Vibhishan in her lap. It's a nice painting. So Ravana, he had 10 heads and 20 arms, and he was very, very powerful. And he underwent great austerities so that he could get even greater power. And he got so powerful, he went even to the, as you see in the painting, he went to Mount Kailash and started lifting the whole hill of Kailash. And when he started lifting Kailash, Parvati became anxious. What's this? What's this? Lord Shiva said, don't worry, it's just a little fellow trying to lift Mount Kailash. And he put his foot on the mountain, and the foot being, just his foot on the mountain, pressed the body of Ravana down, so he was just practically bursting by the weight of the foot of Lord Shiva. So then who was a musician, he started singing and singing and singing, and Lord Shiva was pleased, so he lifted his foot. Here's Kumbhakarna. And Kumbhakarna also underwent great austerities, and when he was given a benediction, his benediction is wanted to sleep without being interrupted. That's what the painting is showing. There's people crowded around, elephants trampling over his body, people with musical instruments, big drums, banging the drum, shooting the bugles. Someone's got this big instrument right in his ear and he's still asleep. Kumbhakarna. He likes sleep. Some people like sleep. But they can't compete with Kumbhakarna. And Vibhishan, he also underwent austerities. Here's the description from Ramayana of his austerities. Ravana performed austerities to rule the three worlds, Kumbhakarna so he could get the benediction to sleep, and Vibhishan wanted the benediction to always serve the Supreme Lord. He was the good son. Vibhishan stood on one foot for 5,000 years, try it. When his vow was completed for yet another 5,000 years, he gazed steadily at the sun, standing with his arms raised above his head and his mind fixed upon Vedic recitation. So 5,000 plus 5,000, that's a long time. And when the benediction time came, what would you like? May every thought that I may have in each and every stage of my life in this world be supremely righteous. May I always uphold the righteous conduct, appropriate at every stage. The virtuous son, Vibhishan, from the get-go. And he had 4 ministers. We're going to hear about these 4 fellows shortly. But they were like him in a very unpleasant circumstance in Ravana's kingdom, where everyone's like Ravana, nasty. No, because Ravana was the elder brother, Ravana took it upon himself to make wives, to arrange wives for his brother, Kumbhakarna, and for Vibhishana. When it came time for Vibhishana, he selected the daughter of a Gandharva king, Sarama. Sarama was her name. Born on the shores of Lake Manasa, during one rainy season, her mother called out, Sarama. Ma means not. Sarama, do not flood. That's the meaning of her name, Sarama. But she was very virtuous. Very, very, very virtuous. She, Sarama, came at a time when Sita was being harassed and harassed and harassed in the Ashok Grove, and she came to pacify her, privately, when no one else was around. But she calmed her down, because she is a virtuous lady, married to Vibhishana. This is a nice painting meant to illustrate the Pushpaka Vimana. I'm doing some traffic control over here. Good. Okay. That's an airplane, by the way. Now, the airplane got in Ravana's care because one time he paid a visit to his stepbrother. Remember who his stepbrother was? Kuvera? Kuvera was the son of Ramani and Vishravas. Bharadraja's daughters became the marriage partner of Vishravas, and this very elevated soul was born. Kuvera became treasure of heaven. And he was gifted as the treasure of heaven with this thing, this Pushpaka Vimana. He could travel anywhere in the universe, not just, around the corner or from one city to another city, anywhere in the universe, without a steering wheel, by mental power. Very special airplane. It can get bigger and smaller. It was mystical. When Vibhishan learned that Ravana had kidnapped so many girls, he approached his brother, Ravana, his elder brother. This act of yours is very sinful and is unbecoming of our good family. Already, as a reaction to your wickedness, your own aunt, Kumilashi, has been kidnapped by a Rakshasa. So there's some history. You don't need to know all the history. I'm going to skip all the history. So, at a certain point in time, according to one version, not the Valmiki Ramayana, but when Hanuman went across the sea and landed in Lanka and dealt with Lanka personified Lankini and socked her in the jaw, and she let him in. Because there was this prophecy, when a monkey comes and defeat you in battle, that's going to mark the end of the entire dynasty of Rakshasas in Sri Lanka. So there's nothing I can do. You've defeated me. You may enter. And she scooted right away and told Ravana what happened. According to one version of Ramayana, before he went to meet Sita, he, Hanuman, met Vibhishana. That's what's in this painting. Hanuman met Vibhishan after his exchange with Sita. This guy, so Hanuman, if you like Ramayana, you know all these things. Hanuman had powers. And one of those powers was he could change his size, he could change his shape, he could look not like a Vanar, like a monkey, but he could look like a human. In this case, he looked like a Brahmana, and he came to meet Vibhishana. And then later, Hanuman, after reassuring Sita, Ram is coming. Be patient. If you like, I can take you back to Ram right now. Get on my back and we'll zoom, I'll take you back, same way I came. He said, no, I might fall off and fall into the sea. That won't be good. You'll be traveling so fast. And besides, Ram is the one that should come. So I'll just be patient and wait for Ramchandra to come. Vibhishan. Surrender. He's already surrendered. So, he decided, now Sita wanted to wait. Sita gave him an ornament that Hanuman could give to Ram. Just do it. I'll just stop while you're being nice. Giving him a nice cushion. He doesn't want the nice cushion. Nice try. Just set it down so we can stop. Okay. Sita gave to Hanuman one of her ornaments that she could then give to Ramachandra to verify, yes, he'll recognize the ornament. Give this to Ram so he knows that we met, and I'll be waiting for him to come and redeem me. Give him my reassurance. I'll be very patient. He'll come. So after Hanuman did that, he thought, let me give a little warning to Ravana and give him one more chance to return Sita. So he decided this beautiful garden, he'd make a mess of it. So he took different weapons and was wielding the weapons and knocking over trees and making havoc like left and right and sideways. And a big noise and a big mess, so they sent soldiers and he whacked the soldiers. And then by his own submission, because it's part of the Leela, they tied him up in a rope and brought him before Ravana. There's Ravana over on the left. There's Hanuman got really big because he knew how to get really big too. And he was going to kill him because he just made a mess in his garden. Nice entry. Vibhishan stopped him and saying that it's not culture that you kill an emissary or a messenger. You can punish him, but you can't kill him. So it was decided monkeys like their tails, so they took a cloth and wrapped the cloth around his tail and lit the cloth on fire. Then his tail would hurt. But you know what happened. The fire burned down Lanka. After Hanuman did what Hanuman did, 3 times, Vibhishan tried again, without all the details because of time. Vibhishan tried 3 times, in all earnestness. He's living with a demon, Rakshasa, a demon, terrible, terrible person. And he's already warned him, he's in trouble. He warned him, give Sita back. Just, it's simple. Give Sita back, and there's no battle, because there's this humongous army going to come here and take over. He didn't like it at all. Ravana instead insulted him. And in his insult, he kicked him in the chest. And when he kicked him in the chest, Vibhishan left. Now this is now the pastime of Vibhishan's surrender. All of this is background leading up to the storyline with some cultural points leading up to Vibhishan's surrender. So Vibhishan also had mystic powers. He just rose in the air from the assembly, and his 4 ministers rose in the air with him. And zoom, zoom, off they go to the place where Ramachandra was, because Hanuman came from that place and went back to that place. But he didn't just right away, it's important, he didn't just right away go to Ram and say, I want to surrender to you. He approached those who are representatives of Ramachandra, and greeting him on the mainland side was headed by the king, or Sugriva. And Sugriva was asked, as the representative of Ramachandra, ask Ramachandra if he'll accept my surrender. So here's another nice painting of the same. There's the Vanaras, Jambavan is by his side, the four ministers along with Vibhishan, and they come back and deliver the message to Ramachandra. And Ramachandra have many doubts, Sugriva and the others. So another nice point. Ramachandra, being a good leader, he didn't just decide apart from anybody else's points of view. He wanted to hear what others' points of view were. He already had an idea, but he wanted to hear their points of view. So he asked their points of view. And every one after the next, after the next, after the next. Don't accept him because I don't trust him, he's got a motive. He knows that Ravana is going to lose and he'll become the next king, so he wants to become a king. He's a motivated guy, so don't trust him. Look, he's been in this company of these Rakshasas for so long. How can you trust somebody like that? And on and on and on. And everyone was quiet. One person amongst everybody that was offering their opinions was quiet, and that was Hanuman. No, speak when spoken to. Hanuman was at Ram, asked him, what's your opinion? There's nothing to decide. You're going to accept it because that's your nature. I know you, and someone takes shelter of you. You've already accepted them. Just a discussion over. Then he just described the glories of Ram, the glories of Ram's compassion, and this and that and the other thing about the glories of Ram. So even with all of that, Sugriva kept going on and on and on, and he still suspected the motives. Yeah, so here's Ramachandra said, he did a historical incident. In the past there was a dove that gave shelter to an eagle, even when the eagle had killed the dove's wife. Then he quoted the sage Kandu, the son of the sage Kanva, was known to have spoken on the virtue of giving shelter to anyone who subordinates themselves to a person who is capable of giving shelter. Their merits of not doing that. This is directly from Ramayana. The words were spoken to, specifically, Sugriva is in the position of the king of the Vanaras. And, he's the main spokesperson speaking against accepting. So he goes on and further gives other reasons and other reasons and other reasons. This is on the topic of Vibhishan surrender. So what did Ramachandra do? He disclosed to Sugriva his opulence. Virya means strength, his Virya Shakti, unlimited strength, unlimited power. Even if he has other motives, no problem. I can take care of it. Don't worry. And then, by nature, as Hanuman said, I'm compassionate. It is my vow. This is a very important verse for Sri Vaishnavas. So listen carefully. It is my vow that if one only once seriously surrenders unto me, saying, my dear Lord, from this day I am yours, and prays to me for courage, I shall immediately award courage to that person, and he will always remain safe from that time on. Now, this is a very important statement. They call it the Charama Shloka. This is Ramchandra's eternal principle. And taking shelter of the personality of Godhead guarantees safety. But so there's details and details. The Sri Sampradaya split over this verse. Some said it's a one-time deal. Some said, no, it's an ongoing deal. And then they had two camps. And so they made two divisions of the Sri Sampradaya. Kesara, Sara. And to this day, it goes on. They don't exactly bash each other. They're settled over here, they're settled over there. Take shelter from Ram. That's what they agree on. Ram requested Sugriva to invite. No, the representative of Ram was the one to invite Vibhishan to come and take shelter. Because that's the procedure. The representative of is the one that receives and then gives that person who is taking shelter to the one who's they're taking shelter of. So there's Ramachandra accepting Vibhishan. That's our topic for this evening. Vibhishan came with his 4 ministers. A nice painting. There's his 4 ministers behind him. We're going to hear a little bit about, again, the acharyas of Sri Vaishnavism. They indicate these 4 ministers represent 4 elements of surrender. And you're going to like them, I think. Even though the Sanskrit terms may not be familiar to. This is the person who is taking shelter. The Agata, the Sharanagata. I possess nothing which I view as my shelter. Akinchanatvam, the quality of having a kinchan, I have no other shelter. Then Ananyagatitvam, it sounds very similar, but it's just the opposite. Since I have nowhere else to go to take shelter, I fully repose my shelter-taking spirit in the Sharanya, the person giving me shelter. So you're my only shelter, I have no other shelter. Checkmate. I am yours. Do with me as you like. This Mahaprabhu. Nadanam, Najanam, Nasundrim, and all of those nice verses of same mood, just the Sanskrit is different. And then the one who's giving the shelter, he gives shelter to anyone without any consideration who they are. That's this simplicity or saralata. Who did Ramachandra give shelter to? Bear, squirrel, monkey, anybody. Even, he said, Ramachandra, even if Ravana would come and say, give me shelter, for all the bad and grief and everything, I'd immediately give him shelter, no hesitation. Sarlata, simplicity, and Shakti. He already showed Sugriva his Virya Shakti. He has the power. No problem. Those are the four elements. So we'll say them again, because Sanskrit terms are nice. Even if you don't know the word, the meaning is okay. The principle is important. Akinchanatvam. Akinchanatvam. I don't have any other shelter. And Ananya Gatitvam. Wow, that's good. I fully repose my shelter in you, in the person who I'm taking shelter of. And then the one who is receiving that surrender, Saralata. Very good. I like it. Saralata. He gives shelter to anyone without consideration. He's very simple. Keep it simple. The world is complicated enough already. Just keep it simple. And Shakti. Okay, he can afford to do this because. So here's a little bit more. Because of time, I think I'm just going to skip all this. You just go to this simplicity continued. Ram gives shelter to anyone. A bird, Jatayu. Guha, forest-dwelling hunters. Sugriva, monkey. Jambavan, a bear, squirrel. Sarvata. And he has the power. He has all these. He's a supreme, powerful person. Here's a nice quote. When Vibhishan approached Ram to ally Sugriva's concern, Ram said, "Let this Rakshasa be the most wicked, or let it be virtuous. Either way, what can he do to me? Do you think he can do any harm to me or anyone that has taken refuge in me, or anyone that has taken refuge in such a devotee? I can destroy all the Rakshasas on earth, as well as all the Danavas, Yakshas, Pishachas, and all other creatures, merely with the tip of my little finger, if I chose to do so. I need no weapons. Not even the other fingers need help. Even of the little finger, the tip is enough. Why speak of these puny Rakshasas of Lanka? The thought of slaying them has not yet entered my mind. When it does, these Rakshasas will no more be seen." And he demonstrated this, as you know from those that are familiar with Ramayana. This is Ram. If you look closely in the painting, up on the upper left, to the upper right, there's a cave, and Lakshmana has taken Sita to a place of safety, while he, Ramachandra, is facing 14,000 Rakshasa warriors in Janastan. This was like a warm-up. 14,000 single-handedly defeated them all with bow and arrow. Don't mess with Ramachandra. So he has the power. He can protect anyone who takes shelter of him, so don't worry. And this is our final slide. 2 additional traits. These are gratitude. Lord Ramachandra feels gratitude for even minute service, or feelings of love that we may have for him. He is the personification of shelter, of Dharma. And he's true to his word. He gives his word, that's it. So we're done. Sita, I will let go of my life, you or even Lakshmana, but I will never let go of the oath that I have given to my devotees. True to his word. So Ramachandra accepted Vibhishan. That's this nice painting. And before they even traveled to Lanka, he coronated the king of Lanka, because he knew that Ravana was going to be finished. And in the mood of servitude. So there's some other details, but I'm gonna end with that because of time. I like images. I hope you guys like images too. Because picture speaks 1,000 words, and I can't speak that many words. The topic, the personality Vibhishan is what I wanted to speak about this evening in relation to Ram Navami that we just celebrated, but also the principle of surrender. He epitomizes this surrender and the obstacles that may come. We live in a compromised circumstance. We're not living with Ravana and his hordes of Rakshas warriors and all of that. But we don't necessarily have the most ideal of circumstances that we're coming from. Maybe some are better, some are lesser, but not ideal circumstances. But so what's their hope for us? The hope for us is that the powerful person who is very kind and who just meaningfully takes shelter. We can do our best in the circumstances that we're in to make improvements, but sometimes it's pretty hard to make improvements in the circumstances we're in. Sometimes, but often not so easy. So what to do? We take shelter. Mamekam sharanam. Just as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, that the personification of that is Vibhishan, or the principle of shelter taking, coming out of circumstances that are less than ideal into the house of bhakti, into the shelter of the personality of Godhead and his representatives. And that's our life. And as soon as I finish speaking, I'm sure we're going to have some nice prasadam. Something that you're all looking forward to. Any comments or questions? Yes.
You were saying that all three of the brothers, they perform different austerities, and Vibhishan also performed austerities, and what he asked for
Virtue.
yes,
Virtuous life.
that I may always act righteously. So that I was struck by that.
It's a long time to do austerities too, isn't it? 10,000 years, gosh.
So, Maharaj, if somebody like Vibhishan, who was already destined to be a great devotee, he performs so much austerity to become righteous, to ask for righteousness and virtue. How can we feel encouraged, because we don't have capacity of doing something like this, to ask for becoming righteous?
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And if that didn't work, then you do this one. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I'll tell you a little story. I was with Radhanath Maharaj a little bit before, and I told him the story. I'm going to tell you the same story. Once upon a time, the Radha Govinda Mandir was in Brooklyn on Henry Street. It was a rented building, a double brownstone building on a corner. And right across the street from us was a junior high school, like a grade school. And a big wrought iron fence, because it's Brooklyn, you have to have everything guarded and protected. So every day, after breakfast, we would arrange to go into Manhattan. You had to go past the schoolyard and to the F train to get into Manhattan for the lunch hour, because lunch hour, there's a zillion of people all over the street in New York City. Every day, 5 days of the week. And the same school days, the kids would stand at the gate, because there's a big wrought iron gate, and they would harass us. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Every day. Same thing. They knew when we were coming, and they would be at the... Every day. A few years passed, like 15 years passed, and I was in the Detroit airport, transiting from one flight to another flight, going to from somewhere to somewhere. And down the hall, I heard this loud chanting of Hare Krishna, and people laughing, ha 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 ha. So it was a group of co-workers, flight attendants, getting off of their job. They're coming down to the exit the building. And they were chanting Hare Krishna and laughing. And in their group, there was like 12 of them. One of them stopped right in front of me, looked me right in the eye. And his face got pale. He told his friends, "You keep going." And so they went. And he stopped and said, "Are you Hare Krishna?" I almost said, "It's not Halloween." And he said, "Oh no." I said, what was that all about? He said, "I grew up in Brooklyn, right across the street from the Hare Krishna temple. I went to school. We used to laugh at you like anything." I said, "I remember." "Oh no." I lived in that same building. "Oh no." And we did it every day, and and not only that, if you left your cars on the street, we'd burn your cars as a way of saying, "Don't leave your cars on the street." So I remember, he said, "Oh no." No, vandalism. Kids just grew up vandals. He said, but that melody stayed with me. And even today, as we're getting out of work, I started singing the melody, and the other coworkers started laughing at me. They said, "I heard you guys coming down the hall." He said, "Oh no." He said, so then he got into this other mode and said, "We were so bad. But that mantra was that song, he didn't say mantra, that song was so powerful. It's been with me all this time." I said, "Fantastic. Just see how powerful is this song that you heard. And now you're asking for forgiveness, forgiven. Squeaky clean, go ahead. Go with your friends, and don't make fun of the Hare Krishna mantra anymore, okay?" "Yes, I won't do it anymore, I promise." And off he went. Isn't it a nice story? You never know. You never know. So, supposing, back to your question, supposing this and that and the other thing, there's a place of shelter for all of us. And there's some austerity involved. We can do other things, our diet and so forth and so on. Live a life in goodness, so on. But the essence, even if the goodness isn't there, is the Mahamantra. And for some people, that's difficult. So that's our austerity. And we do it on a regular basis because that's another austerity. We keep the outside clean and inside clean, that's another austerity. But the transcendental austerity is direct yourself towards the place of shelter. And he's very kind. Krishna is very kind. Ramachandra is very kind. They'll give you shelter. Immediately. You may feel it less or more. And that's why we're here. Okay. Yes, I see another hand up there in the back.
So in essence, you're saying to stay firm, fixed, and focused on and taking shelter.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got it. You're a good listener. In the essence, you captured it. Anything else? Yeah, I'm pointing to you.
Maharaj, as a sadhaka, what should be our attitude towards the practice of Krishna consciousness? Like, one side you see how it may appear to someone that Krishna consciousness is very demanding, like Satatalam Kirtayantoma or Yeshantam Gatatam Papam, one who has got rid of all the sinful reactions.
There's new people in the audience. Bear in mind.
Okay.
This isn't India.
So,
Go ahead.
okay. So my question was that as we practicing Krishna consciousness, so it may appear sometimes that Krishna consciousness is very demanding. At the same time, there are verses that you said even once somebody is taking shelter, or even little somebody takes shelter. I mean, Lord gives abhay, Lord gives fearlessness completely. So what should be our attitude? Should we keep ourselves on the edge of like it's very demanding, I need to do a lot, or we should be like, okay, I have anyway taken shelter, anyway I'm chanting Hare Krishna. So what should we do?
You understand his question? You understand his question? Okay. I think I've understood your question. Now, my answer to a question like this is it depends. Some people and some people. In some circumstance, in some other circumstance. If you or I or any one of us trying to be representatives of Krishna are in the mood of satisfying Krishna, then Krishna may give us some intelligence whether to be this or that. And sometimes, depending on the circumstance. No, some people are more conservative and some people are more liberal and some people are somewhere in between. And that's okay too. But the mood, my main response to your question is, besides it depends, the main mood is represent Krishna as best you can. It's not you, it's the person who you're representing. And the person who you're representing, make your best effort to represent the person who you're representing. It's not just, be transparent. Not otherwise. And that takes purity. Without that purity, then you're just going to be your personality, whatever that personality is, in a given time and circumstance. Vanamali, am I running out of time?
No.
Are you sure? I'm just checking. Okay. I mean, you have a good teacher, right? He's not a cookie cutter kind of guy. Sometimes and sometimes. Depends.
We should be trying our best to
Represent. The transparent instrument of. And certainly our founder Acharya, sometimes he was very firm and sometimes very gentle. And sometimes, depending on, so that's because he was guided by Super Soul, and intelligence was given to him to do what he did each time he did. And it was just like amazing how he did what he did. So we're not there. Now what do we do because we're not there? You think of the person who is the exemplar, the Acharya of the representative of Krishna, and how did they. And you can't imitate, but you inspired as you can be, become familiar with the bhakti process, and stay with the mood of Krishna, and our founder Acharya should be pleased somehow. Yes. Simplicity.
Yeah. So what I feel, like some people are more predisposed to be simpler, and some people are somehow more disposed to be because of their upbringing or something.
Yeah.
Less simple. Is it something that can be cultivated? Because
Yeah.
often we have to think about a lot of things.
Yeah.
And thinking of that is sometimes complicated.
Sadhusanga. Correct? Doesn't Krishna say that in Bhagavad Gita? The answer is yes. Sangat sanjayate kama, kama krodha vijayate. We take on the qualities like those with whom we associate. Supposing I'm the complicated guy. Let me associate with people that are pure and simple. My complicatedness melts, and I become a little more pure and simple. Little. And gradually, by association, become like that. The world doesn't necessarily become less complicated, but my consciousness can become less complicated. And be guided by principle rather than the detail and get lost in detail. Bhakti process had, bhakti and sangha with bhaktas has that effect. And as much as possible with elevated Vaishnavas, as much as possible. And then be respectful to everyone. So that's makes the complicated more simple by association and service together. Last question.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much for the lecture. Maharaj, my question is that we see at least two instances, like what happened to Vibhishan. In Vibhishan state, he was serving a king, Ravana, who he knew was not really having a really good character or something like that. And same, we also see with Vidura. Vidura was
Yeah,
also serving.
Vidura is very similar.
So, and in both cases, they wait. I mean, there is an incident where it goes to the peak where they're trying to give good guidance, and then they are insulted at the end, and then they both leave the place. So the question comes: is couldn't they have left earlier, or no?
Sure, they could have left earlier. So why did they stay? The answer is service. When they came to the point to realize, Vidura in particular, there's no more service for me here. He had no reason to stay. The reason to stay was service. There's no more service for me here. So he left. He didn't go pout and whine and complain. He went to purify himself. So he did what he did, the pilgrimage and everything. And Vibhishan, there's no necessity to pilgrimage. He just goes to take shelter. And both ended up in the same place, elevated, because they were already elevated. But that association that they had been in, to cleanse themselves of that bad association, seeking shelter in association. Vibhishan right away got service, like lots of service. Okay. I see some hands, but I want to respect our schedule. What should I do? There's some hands up. Whatever I decide. It's 8 o'clock. Is anybody hungry? Yes. Say yes. Those of you that want to ask a question, come up afterwards, and I'll be sitting here and smiling and waiting for you to come up afterwards. And then everybody else can do what Vandamali Pandit's going to tell them what they're supposed to do.
We have 6 more minutes to open the order. It's up to you what to do. So, okay, let's do this thing. Let's simplify this. Why? We can have a Kirtan and Aarti right now for the next 15 minutes. While we prepare for that, and also we give our time, we give some time to our the servers to get some prashad. So until that time, if you want to come forward and talk to Maharaj, please feel free. So let's take this opportunity and express our gratitude to His Holiness Romapada Swami Maharaj. Hare Bo, Hare Bo, Hare Bo. As you have seen that Maharaj does a very scholarly presentation. He is very well known for the college outreach and corporate outreach. And his thought of presentations are amazing, very impactful and very lucid. If anybody wants to know more about Maharaj, please visit romapadswami.com. He is very well very well equipped in question answers on his website. Please visit his website. The question answers amazing. I learned a lot from that website also. I have entire PDF with me. Please feel free to go and visit that website and and also you can correspond with His Holiness Romapada Swami Maharaj. Thank you very much. Once again, we express our gratitude to all of you as well for joining us today. We will now start having the Kirtan and Aarti in the next 5 minutes. And so I request all the residents who are here, those who are the devotees whom we know, and the brahmacharis, you can go upstairs and have the prasad. In the meantime, we will prepare here for the last Shayan Darshan. And please wait for the Shayan Darshan to end. And after that, you can go outside and have the Prasad. Thank you once again. Hare Krishna. Those who had any questions, please come forward and ask the questions. The rest, all of the people, please settle down here because we don't want to disturb. So why we are breaking out is that because we are not serving right now. For this reason is that because there is no space where you can go and eat. That's why we are asking let the altars close. Once the curtains are closed, then you can come back and eat here. This is the place where you can eat. So just hold on for 2 minutes, for 4 minutes, and the altar will be open. Thank you. Hare Krishna. And thank you. Hare Krishna. Those who had any questions and those who want to meet Maharaj, please come forward. And feel free to meet with him. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Nothing happened. You can just like plastic. Yeah, I'll do it.